Hi again then guys, and welcome to episode 14 of Ultimate Exotics, the review series for the top level supercars that are currently featured on GT6. And in this episode we're featuring one of my personal favourite cars in the game, and also in real life, also arguably one of America's finest supercars, a car which came out long before the Hennessy Venom or the Ultimate Aero. The Saleen pretty much was the ultimate American supercar up until the release of those models. And in many ways it's actually very similar to cars like the McLaren F1. Because the Saleen S7, unlike many other supercars of the time, such as the SLR or the Carrera GT, is not just designed to be a great car. It was a competition-designed vehicle. Right from this car's inception, it was planned for racing, and it has done so a lot over the years with pretty great success from what I understand. Now, one of the things that you can clearly see about the design of the car is that racing lineage. Now, Saleen has been racing for quite a long time, and the design of the car is actually one of my favourites of any supercar. And one of the reasons for that is because if you look at the car from the side, you'll notice something about the design. It has this very long, elongated rear deck which hangs out well beyond the rear wheels. And from the side it gives it this very long, smoothed out, literally a long tail shape. And that is actually harking back to a time when Le Mans cars used to have that very similar design of having long tails, especially in the Group C era. So what's the advantage of having a long tail? Is it just as a design feature? Why don't Le Mans cars use it anymore if it's so good? Well, for that last point, I can't really answer that because I really don't understand why they don't use it anymore. But the advantage of having a long tail is if you compare it to a rear wing. A conventional rear wing or spoiler does improve your handling and grip by providing downforce. As the air passes over the wing, it's directed upward, which pushes the car into the ground to increase your grip. But at high speed, that wing goes from producing downforce to literally becoming an air brake, slowing you down and holding you back. The advantage of a long tail is it produces similar amounts of high-speed downforce and, more importantly, stability without that loss of top speed. Now, usually manufacturers tend to combine a long tail with a rear wing anyway, just for an additional bit of downforce. But you'll notice that the rear wings that they have on a long tail are nowhere near as large or set to have as much downforce as their equivalent non-long-tailed rivals. Now, they don't use that in the Le Mans anymore, but the Saleen S7 does use that. And if you compare the performance of this car to its European rivals, it's well beyond them despite having less sheer spec. Now, it's a very lightweight car anyway. In real life, the base model Saleen S7 weighs 1,250 kilos and produces 550 horsepower from its naturally aspirated 7-litre mid-mounted V8. 550 horsepower is nowhere near class leading, but that still endows the car with a top speed similar to that of the McLaren F1 and a 0 to 60 time of about 3.3 seconds. From a 550 horsepower car, that's remarkable performance. And one of the reasons why it's so good is the design, which includes the long tail. Now, on the game, you can really feel the effects of the long tail. The high speed stability, at least in a straight line on the S7, is far beyond many other supercars, which become a little bit twitchy or weave over the road somewhat at that speed. Now, the handling on the Saleen S7 is at the same time known as being a little bit challenging. It's a little bit of a leery car, almost too fast for its own good around the track when fully tuned. I would tend to agree with that, at least on the surface of things, but with a little bit of time and effort in tuning, you can make this car a formidable opponent around the track, which can even beat racing cars on certain tracks. Not too surprising when you consider that you can supercharge this car up to 942 horsepower and a massive 956 pound-feet of torque in a vehicle that only weighs 1,107 kilos with the weight loss package. Combine that together and you get a massive power to weight ratio per tonne of 851. Not quite as high as the McLaren F1, but still extremely high in its own right. Another advantage of the Saleen, interestingly enough in real life and on the game, is the value for money. It's one of the best priced supercars in the world. Now, it's not made anymore as a production car, but when it was, you could pick up a Saleen S7 brand new for about £250,000, which is a lot of money, but significantly undercuts most, if not all, other vehicles of that performance level. On the game, it's very similar. The value for money is fantastic. It costs £420,000, and that's about 2 or 3 times cheaper than many of its rivals like the Veyron or the Huayra. So it's racing inspired, based on Le Mans technology, and cheaper than its rivals. Sounds like a pretty amazing all-round deal, and I would say that it is an amazing all-round deal. Now, the car is not given the respect it deserves on the game. It's not a premium model yet. It doesn't have anywhere near the power that it's capable of producing. In real life, people tune the Saleen S7 to well beyond 1,000 horsepower, some even beyond 2,000 horsepower. On the game, it has 942. Now, that's a lot, but it's not enough. It does 290 under its own power, but it could easily do more if it did have more power, and the acceleration is among the quickest of rear-wheel drive cars. So if you're looking for a genuinely brilliant alternative to the mainstream supercars, I'd suggest that you give this one a try. And as always, thanks for watching.